I would turn to Carlos now, who's going to bring us to Latin America. He's an experienced consultant and cultural engineer, I think we can call him that. He's been advising Medellin, if I'm not mistaken, and he has an array of experiences from which he can draw lessons from. And I want to probe him, if we have time later, on how to engage with development agencies, because that's an issue today. We see Spain in trouble, Canada in trouble, and not to say others, which are disengaging, not only from culture, but for all. And that is obviously going to be key for people's 250 challenge.
Thank you, Charles. First of all, I want to say thank you to the organization team of the Congress, which through the mail were so kind, so helpful, and made every one of us feel important and feel valuable for this Congress. Thank you very much. The issue of how this culture drives and enables social cohesion and inclusion has in Latin America a very important reference. Historically, we can state that the countries of the region are a clear example of diverse ways of being into the world, with the quality that all of them share common cultures, cultural values, goods, and meanings all along the region. Haciendo un paréntesis, quiero saludar al idioma español, mi lengua materna, a través de la cual puedo comunicarme y ser parte de una comunidad que alcanza 380 millones de habitantes, no solo en América Latina, sino en Norteamérica, la península ibérica, África y Asia, y aquí me ha permitido estar en contacto con gente de La Paz, de Guatemala, de Colombia, de tantas partes. I want to translate. As an aside, here I would like to salute the Spanish language, my mother tongue, through which I can talk and be part of a community that reaches 318 million speakers. Not only in Latin America, but also in the Iberian Peninsula, North America, in Africa, and Asia. We must also remember that the now de China, the boat from China, drove a powerful, inclusive, and cohesive cultural circuit between the Pacific Rim, the Americas, and Europe, whose cultural sediments are still matrices of our current way of seeing and relating with each other. Sugar, pork, cinnamon, silk, and fireworks are some meaning-creating goods that we share because this cultural circuit. Current time, Latin America is also a strong leader on issues of inclusion and generation of social cohesion because of several concrete cultural policies that have achieved profound and positive social changes in a very short time, especially into very conflictive or violent territories. We have examples of Medellin, Colombia, or Tijuana, Mexico, which went from being, each in a particular time, the most violent cities in the world, to become creative, innovative, highly competitive, and tourism attractive territories. Also, we shall refer to the parliaments of culture, which fostered national reconciliation in Chile, after long years in which the dictatorship produced a deeply divided country. Or the points of culture from Brazil, which strengthened the awareness of Brazilian identity and built up a powerful argument for the privileged insertion of the country in knowledge-based economies. The Community and Municipal Culture Support Program, ACMIC in Spanish, in Mexico has allowed to establish intra- and inter-community dialogue to thousands of communities that, without such support, would have been mostly likely to be diluted in postmodernist waters. As we may observe, with these few references, the social transformative power of culture has become more and more strategic in recent years. So now migration, security, governance, economy, or education are themes into which culture is playing an important role. It's a commonly accepted fact that culture has made important changes in the way society relates. But how these changes build up is rarely discussed. Do we just simply require the existence of a diverse and dense cultural and artistic environment to immediately produce positive change? The answer is definitively no. There are many examples of people and countries that could be described as highly educated and who have committed great atrocities. For example, only a few days ago, I read that the dictator Augusto Pinochet personally brought together the largest private library in Latin America, with 55,000 books. So then, which is it? In the several countries from the 4 continents which I have had the opportunity to visit, the common denominator that I perceive in social environments heavily degraded by violence, authoritarian repression, or marginalization is that people represent themselves devoid of work, with no capabilities to pursue what they perceive as valuable, or at worst, with the feeling that they have no right to imagine or deserve anything valuable. For example, in the 90s, an important majority of the Colombian youth thought that their destiny was between being a hitman or a drug dealer. Because of this perception, Alonso Salazar wrote a book on the Colombian youth titled "We Were Not Born to Be Thieves." They represent themselves as if they were going to live only 5 or 6 years, but those years were going to be very good ones. They were not thinking about themselves to have sons. That's why they said we were not born to be thieves. Under these circumstances, culture is a valuable resource to present, stage, and assess different ways of being in the world, different manners of having a good life than those ones that prevail and produce negative effects into sustainable development. Artistic expressions offer other languages that allow people to interact and communicate with each other so that they may have new opportunities to learn and publicize human creativity. Also, the arts make us live and learn more from life without necessarily having to experience the real situations. And of course, also offer joy and rejoicing with the best of human spirit. Cultural heritage is testimony of the most creative ways to solve problems of the human relationship with the environment that we have built over the centuries. Cultural heritage speaks of our victories. In that sense, it reminds us our ability to achieve our dreams. In particular, the intangible cultural heritage provides highly significant elements in the process of improving the social life because it's closer to the needs and people's everyday interactions. For example, the carnival, which is common to all our countries, with all its explosion of color, joy, music, dance and party, not only builds up society during this public performance, but throughout the whole year, when several generations and various strata dialogue and agree which music, which dance, which costume they are going to use during their performance. By talking, eating and dancing together, they learn of values and heritage existing in the community. Meanwhile, they practice for the carnival celebration day. They share news on who was married, who has separated, who was born, and who has passed away, which is an easy and natural way for generating cohesion and also validating the inclusion of newcomers. I must remark that these processes may be built up through all the cultural expressions or the artistic disciplines. What really matters is to comprehend what is meaningful to the people and appeals them to interact. The restoration of a saint or a church, as in a number of places in Mexico, the music, as in the youth and children orchestras from Venezuela, the libraries, as in the park libraries in Medellin, museums, as in the Brazilian favelas, the food, as the pozole in Guerrero, Mexico, and many other examples that shows how people gather, dialogue, and are creative to build a shared development. On the other hand, culture also opens for non-confrontational interaction between authorities and citizens. For example, in Mexico, we developed a very successful program that registered artifacts in various religious sites, interacting with traditional and religious authorities that turned out to be highly positive for improving the public image of the police, forces, and it also opened the door to the governmental institutions to introduce into those same communities public health and social development benefits. However, all these results are not the eventful product of a kind of protective law of good culture itself. To promote culture as a governmental policy for sustainable development is fundamental to professionally identify and execute cultural policies based on a very extensive diagnosis that make it clear how the complex cultural system is articulated into a specific society, in order to identify relevant actions which may be appealing and help to produce a new sense of development to the target community, to be executed not only by the cultural institution, but by all the governmental institutions as a fully justified sustainable development action. And only the artists and the creators, the central target community for cultural policies? The answer is a resounding no. If we recognize that all people can name the right to culture as a human right, governmental cultural policy shall empower the full exercise of the right by all the people. In developing the 10-year cultural plan of Medellin, and later in my similar work with Barranquilla and Bogotá authorities, and along the process of the cultural laws into which I have worked, most of our discussions were about who primarily should have access to development resources and cultural promotion. And the answer keeps being that the central beneficiary is a person that resides in the territory under the jurisdiction of the authority, without the need of any other status of membership in a guild or of a specific type of creative status. Obviously, it would have much more to say about the topic that I have dedicated many years of my professional work and personal vocation. But suffice this brief sketch to nourish the debate to which we are part. Thank you.
I wish you could speak Spanish. I'm sure it would be great to hear you in Spanish. What I take from what you said is that you have to come in and spend a lot of time understanding the dynamics of the groups that you're going to be interacting with. I think that's what I take out of your speech. I also take from your speech that there are examples now of atrocities that can be witnessed through culture. We're starting to build evidence that this is part of the equation. Is that a shared mentality? We don't want to discuss, but it's probably something in Latin America that is specific to Latin America due to the violence issue.